But yes, moving on to the next topic, which this is going to be another kind of winded discussion too. But this is, I think, when Mogwin came up with this, because for a lot of y'all who don't, I mean, me, Mogwin, and Zeratul, we literally come into Vent or Mumble and just talk about all the what ifs. Like, what if Blizzard did this? What if Blizzard did that? And Mogwin comes in one day and he's just like, what if in the next expansion there's no leveling? Max level is again level 100, and basically you increase your eye level from the start, and there's different progression levels to do that. You can do dungeons, you can do, of course, questing, you can do raiding, you can do PvP, you can do garrison missions, but there's all these different avenues, but there's no leveling. Now, Ben, I know I mean, Margaret, I'm definitely gonna go to you on this one. So if you want to further, this discussion on that.
Well, I was just, thinking, how if they're ever gonna do something, like this, where they just kind of stop leveling, because, if you're sitting there and you're joining the game and now I guess they have the boost thing, and there's a free boost now to 90. But if you want to level, but that's just one thing, one tune that one character you can get to 90. Your next character is 1 to, like, the next expansion, I would assume, would be 1 to 110. And, that's going to take a while. And it's a little bit daunting, especially if you don't have, like the three of us, we have a set of characters that we can do stuff on, and we can gain resources, and we have abilities to really kind of boost that leveling experience just because we've been in the game a long time. But somebody who's new, they're not going to have that option, really. And so I'm sitting here thinking, well, Blizzard's probably sitting here thinking, well, maybe we're going to have an expansion at some point, and we're not going to, like, maybe even, if it works out well, maybe even not for the rest of the game. We're just going to have the max level is going to be, just X. And then no more leveling. Everything is gear after that. And I'm thinking, well, if they're going to do something, if they're going to try it, level 100 is the time is just kind of, it's a nice round number. It'd be the time to try it. So maybe the next expansion, if they're going to try it, maybe they'll try it. And it made sense to me that, that they would want to try it once and see what people thought, or at least, kind of get the idea out there, and do one of their little things where it's like, well, we're trying this, and then kind of put it out there in their various ways for announcing stuff like that, like BlizzCon or something, and then just kind of see how it works, see what people think. But so you don't have the huge daunting number of levels to get through for your alts, especially because most people, they want to try multiple stuff, and they want to try it at max level, because that's like we said earlier, that's where all the interesting stuff is. So you get to, you're already at 100, and the very first thing, usually the very first thing you're doing is questing, and that's storyline and character level. That's the way it's done right now. It's storyline and character level through questing, and you can do some dungeons and get some character level through that. But experiencing the storyline, that a lot of people, they kind of like to do that. I like to do it. I just kind of like to know the story, the background story, know what's going on.
Yeah, the first time, and then the second time, exactly. Then the third time.
Exactly, the first time. It's kind of like, I enjoyed that the first time, but, the third or fourth time, I'm, it's like I'm, not only that, it's like I'm skipping, around in things like that. I'm not really going through it again, and it's getting modeled up. Maybe the storyline might be getting modeled up because I'm doing stuff like that. I think it ought, you could have it to where you have the quest line, you can do it, you gain gold or whatever, and a few pieces of nice higher level item stuff from the questing, and you enjoy just learning what's going on, like hearing the story from Blizzard, you in the quest line, and it's not a race to get to max level through the questing, and you're just kind of like, it doesn't look like I want to read any of that quest line. Just hit accept and go like look at the mini map and the map and go do the stuff. Now you could have more fleshed out quests and stuff like that, and it's mainly just storyline and a few minor rewards, and then your race is to go, like, you get with your friends or whatever, or you go to looking for dungeon and you get more gear through the dungeons, and then I can think that there would be that the fine people at Blizzard could come up with a way that leveling through gear, just via gear, like we do for the last 90% of area expansion anyway, that leveling through gear can be done, through dungeons and raids.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's a pretty good idea. Like, one of the things they do is they lock content out depending on your level. Like, the dungeons are locked till you hit level 92, 94, and prospectively, but they also have eye level locks. You can't queue up for heroic until you reach X eye level. You can't queue up for LFR until you reach X eye level. You can go into the raid, but they still want an X eye level too. So, like, that locking system is already implemented into the game. If they were just to extend it to, like, say, like, okay, they want you to do a dungeon, and we're level 100, and we level up through the eye level system, like you're talking about, through gear. Well, okay, we do a bunch of story questing. Let's say it's a lot more involved than it used to be. The story is a little more, content into it, more eventful, more exciting. But when you're done with that quest hub, you unlock the dungeon through gear you achieved while questing that should increase your eye level enough to do that dungeon. And then once you've done it, you can get to it, if they want to do it that way. Or you just have it so you quest, you have a chance to get gear through questing. When you get the appropriate eye level, you can now do that dungeon, which makes perfect sense. So on with the next, so on with the next. And then, of course, when you get to a certain eye level, then you could do heroics like they have implemented now. And then when you get to a certain eye level again, you can do LFR, which they have implemented now, even per wing. You can only, with 630 eye level to do LFR, but the last one I think is 640 or 620. I'm not exactly sure. I forget, 'cause it's been a higher eye level for a while now, so I don't remember. But that's something they do have in the game already. So it wouldn't be like they have to rewrite the code for the way the game works. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there are other games out there that do, like, you get to a certain level and then you level up with gear. Now, one of them is Destiny. You get to level 20, and then that's it. And then you get pieces of gear that have these things called light points. And then you get to a certain light level. So, yeah, you were level 20, but now, since you achieved X amount of light on your gear, you're level 21. But it still says level 20, but there's a yellow 21 next to it that says you're, the next thing. Now, whatever, the whole it being next to each other and the way it's displayed is one thing, but you get to a max level and then you achieve levels through gear. That's how you gain the extra 10 or 11 or 12 or whatever it goes to. So that just goes to show that there's people doing some things similar to that, and it is working.
yeah.
I don't know how great it's working for Destiny if people like it, but people play Destiny. Some people don't like it. Some people do like it. Some people don't like the game in general. Some people do. Whatever, Everyone has their preferences, stuff like that. But it is something that exists in the gaming world, and it is something that could be achieved. I think it's kind of a good idea. We have been doing leveling, and most MMOs do the whole leveling thing.
Aspect.
And I personally think that finally being level 100 in this game is kind of cool. I never really liked it when they did the whole 85 thing. That just felt weird to me.
The 5 levels.
Now, yeah. Now, whether they're going to do it by 5 levels, 10 levels, is what we've seen them do, is one thing. I personally think that next expansion, if we go to level 105 or 110.
I know, that's just weird.
That
again.
is going to just seem like, oh, you got to be 110. It doesn't even sound right.
Exactly.
Being level 70, you know, you got to be 80. You got 85. That didn't sound right, but we got used to it. I don't think I don't think we'll get used to 105.
Nah.
You know, level 90, then level, you know, level 100. Like going, yay, 105, 110. Like, I don't know. Maybe if they went like, we got to get to level 150 or something like that. You know what I mean? Like a big number.
God.
You know?
Well, that would be weird.
That would be one thing. Then the next expansion, it's level 200. Now, people say, oh, those are ridiculous numbers. Well, Blizzard went to ridiculous. They brought it back, and they're going right back to ridiculous again, which they're going to have to bring it back again, which I don't, you know, just go back to vanilla numbers from the start and work your way back up. But, you know, whatever. There are other MMOs out there that have the ridiculous numbers in levels, like 100, 150, 200, 300, level 475, level 600. So, like, that is, like, you know, something that could be done. I don't know what they're going to do. I do think that, like, that maybe is something they have on the table. Like, what are we going to do for the next expansion? Are we going to do 105 or 110 or... These numbers sound just stupid. Who wants to be level 105 as cap? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why do that? Make it level 102, 107 then as cap, because it doesn't matter. Just pick it, you know, pick something stupid that, you know, because it's stupid in the first place. Make it so we're level, you know, 103 and 3/4. You know, what does it matter at that point? That just seems stupid.
Yeah, that's
you know?
why I was, and that's kind of what started me thinking about this whole just leave it at 100 and just level through gear. And you could do things like you could even make dungeons like say like you go in with your buddies and it takes an average item level and it says, okay, well, because of the average item level of the group, we're gonna like it adjusts the item level of the drops. You know, like they're like, okay, in raids, like I have multiple items that have the same name, and I mouse over the item, like one that's item level 670 and one that's item level 655. I mouse over it. It says I have two of them, but it's, you know, one's heroic, one's normal, and but it says I have two of them. So, you know, why can't you can have adjustable item levels on the gear. Just adjust the item level based on the average item level of you know, of the group. You know, say, you know, like obviously the lowest person in the group is going to potentially benefit the most, and the highest person in the group is, you know, potentially not going to really get anything and might just be there to help some friends through the dungeon. And that, you know, makes it, I think, a good way to you know, maybe the highest person maybe the person with the highest item level gets more gold off the mobs than the other people do, but the other people have the option of getting, you know,
the gear,
much better gear.
You see, I love this idea. Like when Mogwin told me about this idea, I loved it. I figured because it just eliminates the double grind. It eliminates the whole okay, I level from 90 to 100. That's done. Now the second grind is to get my eye level from eye level, you know, 598 to 630 so I can, or 615 so I can get into LFR. You see, it's just it's a double grind. It's double work. And this whole, I mean, I'm up to the old school logic of work smarter, not harder. And I feel like this is a very old tradition of every expansion, we're going to add 10 levels, 5 levels, 10 levels, 5 levels, whatever the case is. And I feel like it's just a complete, it's a double grind. I mean, no one wants to do it, but we are forced to because all the interesting stuff happens at the end game or the end game level. So to stay at the end game level and all you do is increase your eye level, it sounds amazing. Because if I want to play on my hunter, I can experience the story if I want to the first time around. And then on my alts, I don't have to even go through the story. I can just dungeon grind, get my eye level, you know, get it up, finally get into the first LFR, do all that stuff, and not have to worry about not even going to any of the places. If I choose not to, I just think having them being options and not mandatory stuff is just, it feels a lot better. Rather than already going into it having to pop 2 freaking Bayer aspirin because I have to go and smash my head against the keyboard to freaking go through all the leveling experiences and then finally get up to endgame. Like, I did that once. It was great. I think Warlords is still the best expansion we've ever had as far as story goes. But the 4th time around, I really don't have that same sentiments anymore because I've already done it. And even trying different ways, it's like, me and Mogwin will go and he'll tank and I'll heal from 90 to 100 because we would rather do that than having to go and do the questing experience. We'd rather just go and mindlessly dungeon grind because that just seems better than having to go.
I mean, most questing is done solo. Most dungeons, are done with your friends. And so that's always a lot more fun and a lot more enjoyable. And if you, basically take, and the thing is, you're not removing the solo content. You're just kind of reducing its, kind of prominence a little bit.
Just making it optional.
Exactly. And, everybody's going to do it once just because they want to know the story.
Oh, I love the
but
story.
At least gives you the option to kind of just go ahead and get in there right off the bat and do the things you want to do, and you can even it's easier to switch to another character, another class. You're not stuck having to grind, through the however many the 10 levels to get to max level, and for the new class that you want to try, just because, oh wow, those talents look really awesome, I'd really like to try that out, but I've got to go through the whole questing thing to get there. And it's just, I don't know, I like the idea of staying max level. And you can augment talents. You can start reducing the number of levels between the talents and adding new talent lines without a problem. Mm-hmm. There's no way, it's not a big
deal. That's exactly what I was thinking, because everyone would be complaining like, oh, well, if there's not a level 100, then what are my new talents? I was exactly thinking that, Ben. Like, if you look right now at the talent tree, there's talents at 15, 30, tree? 45, 60, 75, 90, and 100. Well, instead of it being those numbers, they can just like shorten the numbers. So basically, it would be you get a talent at level 50, and then level like 60, level 70. It can just be different brackets. Like they can add another bracket, but the end bracket will still be level 100. You know what I'm saying? There's 7 tiers. They can add an 8th tier and still have the 8th tier be level 100, and just kind of, like you said, augment the numbers to just compensate. It's possible. And I just believe that there's so much stuff that they can do. They can add like a class quest to get maybe a brand new ability that you could use for your rotation, or there's a number of things they can do for it. It's an expansion, but I think having a lot of options leaves the game interesting. When you have to choose to do something, when a person says you have to do it like this, it just feels like a job after a while, because you have to do it. And I think leaving stuff you basically are in the middle of a road and there's just 5 different ways you can go. I think that's awesome. And if one tune you want to do it a certain way, you can do it that way. On another tune, if you want to go a whole different way, you can. If on another tune you want to just PvP to increase that level, go right ahead. I mean, I think the more options you have, the more of every time you log in feels brand new, rather than, oh my god, I am still level 90, I have to quest. That is your, Zeratul gets on his level 91, what was it? I forget what class, priest. His priest, and he's like, what am I doing? He immediately logs out, because he already knew that he has to level to do anything interesting. That was the first thing when he realized, wait, I'm on a level 91. Screw this noise. Back to my level 100. It's that mentality. And if you remove that, it just removes that burden. It removes all of that frustration you immediately feel for just going on an alt. Because sometimes you do want to play with your alts. You know what I mean? You want to go and do something different than your main. And in this time, the average player has at least, at a minimum, 3 alts. I have 11. I have every single class on the server. So if I want to do anything interesting, I have to wait until I get to endgame max level before I can. And by that time, I have all these gray hairs in my head because I had a level almost 100 times because that's literally 10 levels per character. So basically 110 times, if you think about it. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
And it's during the longest time leveling, the 90 to 100. Because I can go start a level 1 right now and be level 58 in, 7 hours.
Yeah.
It's, it's ridiculous. There's videos out there, people getting, level 1 to level 70 in 6 hours or something like that. Insane. But that level, like the last level grind with new expansions, whether it's 85 to 90, 90 to 100, it is the longest and the most aggressive leveling. Like, it's just like, and don't get me wrong, I love leveling for the first time. When new expansion comes out, I love all the new stuff, the new quests, new story. It's awesome. And I'm okay with doing it the second time, because it gets to the point we have to kind of level alts. Because, you get to a point where it's like, oh, I ran all the dungeons I can for today, got all the gear I can, I did the horrible LFR system, and I got everything I can. I can't maybe do normals yet, or I can't do heroics, but I did normals and I didn't get anything. I did all my missions, I did all my profession dailies. What's there left for me to do? Nothing. I can sit in my garrison, in my town hall, running in circles, talking to people and vent, mumble, for 3 hours straight, doing absolutely nothing but jumping up and down in front of a fire, just going do, or I can level an alt, which is so much fun on the third or fourth go around. You know what I mean? Like, oh my god, it's the equivalent of like jabbing needles in your eyeballs. I mean, how exciting is that? It's yay! I get to talk to this guy. It gets to the point where I don't even like the NPC characters anymore. Like, I love Doratan. I thought he was like one of the badass characters in like all of WoW, you know what I mean? And when I first get to do the garrison thing, I'm like, oh yeah, this guy again. Yay, aren't you supposed to die?
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh jeez, I don't want to talk to him anymore.
And
so
I understand.
It's like he's standing in my garrison with an exclamation point over his head, and I will not go talk to him. Screw that.
Like, no.
Oh yeah, it gets to the point where like I know you've all been there, like where like you're doing quests in an area and like you go turn in like 5 or 6 quests, and then like you get the exclamation mark and you're like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Stop giving me quests. Leave me alone. You know what I mean? It's almost like they're harassing you at that point. And it's just like I don't want to talk to this guy anymore. But, like, you have this thing where you have to click it and do it because you have to do it, and it's just like, oh, enough is enough. But I understand where Blizzard doesn't want it to be like, oh, you can't just go raiding. There has to be some form of grind. But maybe it should be the point where, like, if you have a max-level character and you're at a certain point, when you want to do an alt, like, they shouldn't have to go through the same thing. Now, usually leveling alts is faster than your main, and usually the only reason because of that is you've done it before, so you know to kind of like skip this area, get quests here, because I can do like 6 of them in one shot in the same area, turn it in. But then you're skipping through story, and it doesn't matter, what you're doing. So why do they need to do the grind? Maybe they can think of some type of account-bound level, like when you achieve, level 100 on your main character, your account like automatically it registers with all your other tunes that are level 90. They're at the previous expansion cap. They get like, I don't know, a bonus or something, or the level is account based. You get from 90 91, all your characters are 91. You hit 92, all your characters are 92. Now they're going to say, well, this is going to make it so everyone levels a hunter, so they never get hit. They always got a pet, and then when they get to level 100, they'll just go on the main they want. I can understand that, but there's a lot of ways you can do it. There's a lot of ways you could do it very badly, and something needs to be thought of.
I just think an account-bound experience buff Like once you get to max
Exactly.
level, you get like a 20% experience to all your characters, and then if you do it again on a second character, it goes to like 40%, and then 60%, and just keeps increasing because you have that many ults. And because you've done it already hard the first time around, or even the second time around, like it's kind of like, okay, like you've already leveled like 3 characters already. We're just basically gonna give them to you. Like go into one dungeon, you'll like increase 10 levels.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
One of the things they could do is when you like heirloom gears. Heirloom gears have been in the game for a very long time now, and like I think there's something that they could do is like when you reach level 100, you now have the option to buy full heirloom. I mean head to toe. Trinkets, weapons, shields, helm, shoulders, pants, rings, you name it. And when you get all these things and you send it to your alt, like it is like 500% increased experience,
Yeah.
you know, while leveling. And that's
Yeah, that would
something,
be
this
awesome.
way they can regulate it. This way it ain't, you know, just like how we're saying, like some type of thing where it's like, oh, everyone could just immediately level. It's something like, no, you have to at least do it once for real. Like, you got your character level 100, you know how to do it. You got your main, obviously, because that's the one you wanted to play, because you wanted to get him there first. And now, like, you know, let's say you got a guild that raids with 2 raid teams, and you want to be in both, and you have the time, and, you know, you plan on being in both, and you're a healer for one, but you're a tank for the other. Now, both teams, let's say, have evenly, let's say they're 10 men, they each have their own 10 group of people that are leveling mains, and you're in one of them. So one group has 10, that includes you, the other group has 9, and you're their 10th. Well, since you're their 10th, you're leveling an alt, they gotta wait on you.
Very
You
good
know?
point. Yeah,
Like,
that's,
there's situations like we've had that in the past, you know what I mean? Like, so that's where it's like, if you can get that all up that you're tanking for that other raid team, you know, yeah, it might take you an extra day or so, but like that ain't them wait until you get one character leveled, dungeon run, grind it out to the most they can do for the day or the week, and then you can go pay attention to your alt. You know, and then they're waiting, you know, for you to level up and then grind, you know. It's to the point where it's like, well, we can't wait. We're going to bring someone else, and when you get there, we'll just kick them out, and they're going to have to go find a new guild or raid team, which is a terrible thing to do to anyone. But then again, it's just like, you know, then they got to stand there and wait. So there should be something. I think the heirloom thing is an option, you know, but I think like it needs to be more than 2-3 pieces with 10% increase. Like, I think it should be a full armor set with a substantial increase to leveling, like
Yeah.
ridiculous amount. Like, you know, a dungeon you get a level, you know, at least the first go around, something like that. Like, it needs to, you know, like bam, half the time guaranteed, cut in half, you know. You've earned that. You did it already.
Yeah. I.
And not just, you know, for your raid team. Like, if you think about the way the new LFR system is and the, you know, by doing that, they get more characters out in the game to fill in LFRs, to fill in looking for group normals and heroics. You know what I mean? Like, it gives bigger pools that raid leaders and LFG systems can pull from because there's more people at the peak level.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna move on to the next topic because I know we're already probably going a little bit over time and stuff. Did you want to add something, Mogwin?
well, I was just going to suggest that something else that can be done is you can have some, you know, a trial system like, you know, the proving grounds could be a pot, like we were talking about, well, how do you get more talents, you know, at level, you know, if you're the same character level, how do you get more talents? Well, you know, maybe you could do a proving grounds type of thing where you kind of show that you know what you're doing with what you got, and once you've done that, then we'll give you these new talents. And that, I don't know, it's just a, or, you know, you can have, that could be one option. Maybe it could be, hey, if you complete the storyline quests, we'll give it to you that way too. Or if you, you know, just various ways of of showing you know what you're doing on the character, so you can be rewarded with the new talents, which is kind of what it says. That's kind of a thing in the current leveling system. You're rewarded with the new talents because you did all the leveling, all the character leveling.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. I hope you love the second part of this video. There will be the third coming up on the days to come, probably the next day or the day after, which will include the last topic of this campfire discussion, which will be the fourth spec, and of course all the end talks. I'm so happy that this video and other videos are getting a good reaction from it. I want to thank Mogwin, and I want to thank my guild leader Zeratul for helping me with this campfire discussion, because it was a lot of fun. We talked about a lot of things. And please leave your comments on the on the comment section below. I really like to hear y'all's thoughts on what we're talking about. I would love to see some of the passion come out from other people as well. Because we're a bunch of nerds playing this game, and of course we just want this game to perform better, to be better, to feel better, and our thoughts and what we think is important. And I think it's also sharing it to the devs and letting them know what we think about it. And it's all a group collaboration, and I know Blizzard has their people, we have our own. So super glad y'all love this video. Keep watching. Watch out for part 3, which will be the fourth spec topic, which will be the last part. Also, Hunter Guides, Survival Hunter, Marksmanship, and Beastmaster will be coming out this week as well, so keep after those. There will be in-depth guides regarding all 3 specs, as well as separate videos regarding DPS and rotation. So keep out for those as well. Thank you guys so much. Like and subscribe if you like this video, and I will see you guys later.